This story begins in my grandmother's kitchen, but it has nothing to do with food. You see, my grandmother had a way of passing information across. Sometimes it was stories, sometimes she was praying and preaching for us. But she had this innate ability to pick the moments, to share a story, to inspire someone. So this day, in her kitchen, she used to call me Arujo. So she called me Arujo. When you were born, your grandfather held you in his hands, looked into your eyes, and said these words: "This boy will be a great man." Now, these words have journeyed with me as I go through life, facing challenges, ups and downs, wins and losses. Today, I'm going to share with you how these words journeyed with me as I pursued excellence in football. You see, I always wanted to be a professional footballer. In fact, my brother and my cousins called me nicknames. They used to call me El Haji Diouf, Denis Oliech, name it, JJ Okocha, Ronaldo, all these names. And that got into me. And I started thinking, this must be the story my grandfather was saying. That when I grow up, I will be a great man. You see, I was born in Ochido village, Kanyamkago location, Uriri district, deep in Migori County. I had never seen a professional footballer. But here I was, hoping that one day I'll share stadiums with the greatest of the greatest. So when I went to primary school, Rombe Primary School. Who calls a school Rombe Primary School? You see, Rombe loosely translates to sheep in my language. So maybe it's because we're just following our teachers. So they call it Rombe Primary School. But if you're a young boy wanting to become a professional footballer, you're always carrying your ajuala to school. Ajuala is these balls we made using green and black paper bag. Recycling, right? And I always carried mine. And I couldn't wait for break time so that I could just go there and play football. But you see, trials in the village are different. How do you get seen? How do they notice you that you can actually play football? First, you needed to impress your primary school teacher, games teacher, that you are good enough to be in the school team. But you see, I started school early. And so I was very young. And back then, when free primary education came, what happened? So many people, like 20-year-olds, came back to school. So there was no way I was getting the position to play. So I struggled. Actually, after impressing your primary school teacher, then he'd need to put you in the school team. And then you went to the competitions. I tell you schools around my area. So there is, one already, Rombe Primary School. And then there is Nyamilu Primary School. And then there is Ramuoma Primary School. And then there is Kanyakech Primary School. So when you went for local competitions, what happened is that they'll put you together, you'll compete against each other, and then we'll pick stars to go and represent the larger region. No one picked me. In fact, I rarely even got the opportunity to play. Then I went to high school. I remember that day when my brother and I joined St. John's Seminary, Rakwaro. No, I was not going to be a priest, guys. Story for another day. But quickly, I got into the school team. And now the nicknames changed. Back then, they were calling me Denis Oliech, JJ Okocha, El Haji Diouf. Now they were calling me different names. Now these guys started calling me Nicholas Sebastian Anelka. They were calling me Baldin Ngwa. They were calling me George Blackberry Odhiambo. The nicknames changed, but the struggles remained the same. Again, no one really saw me. The young seminarians would get to football competitions, but rarely went past the regional competitions. No one gave me a chance. No one support. In fact, the closest I came to being noticed was when there were stories that the dominant football playing schools around my area wanted to poach me and sponsor me so that I can play for them. But there was nothing in terms of the greatness. No one was giving me the chance to start playing professionally. Fast forward, I go to Dedan Kimathi University to pursue a degree in actuarial science. I still remember when my mom left, and I sat there saying, now, I have the freedom. I'm now going to train and train and train, and hopefully someone will notice me. And boy, did I train. You see, Nyeri is very cold. So the first term, the first semester, I'm not sure if I should continue training because it's very cold. And the guys kind of just got it. Guys have gotten used to it. But for me, it was bothering me that I'm training and it's drizzling. But I found my ways because remember the big vision. I must be a great man. And football must be the thing that makes me great. So I get to be the team captain. I'm doing very well. I'm playing every so often, university competitions here and there. But the pattern remained the same. The nicknames were now different though. Now they are calling, in fact, they just call me one name, Didier Drogba. Because I was huge and I was dominating and I never played football, I'd bully defenders with my physique. In fact, they even made it nicer. Instead of Didier Drogba, they called me D. And I said, this must be it. Now it's about to come home. But the closest I came to being a professional footballer was when one day, after the trainings in this cold Nyeri weather, I received this call. So I'm like, hello. And the other guy says, hello. And then he says, who you D? I'm like, who you D? And then he goes like, nimeambiwa wewe ni mzuri sana kwa ball. Si ukuje huku Karatina, tupige hii kitu. You see, that was Ras. Ras was the team manager of Madhaidi Sports Club. Madhaidi was a small team. Madhaidi was a small team in Karatina, playing in the local leagues. But you know what that phone meant to me? Someone has finally seen me. So every evening after classes, I would go, jump on a matatu to Nyeri town, take a matatu to Karatina, and do my trainings. For every game I played, they paid me 300 shillings. You see, you're laughing, you think 300 shillings is like very small. But for me, someone was finally, and 300 shillings, you know, transport from Nyeri to Karatina and back is like 200 shillings. So when you get home, all you have is 100 bob to eat supper and it's done. Again, you wait for the next game. But maybe it was finally coming together. So I go back home, the semester closes, and I tell my mom and my family members, guys, this thing is finally coming home. Ras called me, and Ras said, I'm good at soccer, and Ras is paying me. You see, my mom is a very smart lady, very emotionally intelligent, so she didn't like bash me, but she asked a few questions. Who is Ras? How safe are you when you go playing with them? And how is this affecting your studies? I brushed it off. I said, Ras is a nice guy. He pays me, nini, nini. I'm still, actual science is managing. But later on, I figured out this thing really bothered my mom. See, my mom is a single mom. And I'm one of the two boys. My brother Carl is somewhere in the audience. So this education thing is like, she's invested so much, hoping that this thing will work for me, and somehow I'll turn out to be a man responsible enough. So when I figured out these things was affecting my family and they were not happy with it, I went back and I turned down the sponsorship, the signing that Ras had given me. So what happened when I finished university, graduated, went back home, and I'm at this point where this football thing may be working, may not be working. And then one day I get a call from my friend now, and then would-be boss, Sarah Margarita, from Metropole CRB, saying, please come, we'd like to give you an opportunity to pursue a career in data science. Then I sat there. Football, data science, my mom, Ras, and all these other questions around me. Then I made a decision to go for data science. But ladies and gentlemen, what do you do when your childhood dream, the dream you had, the dream your grandfather spoke about, the ambition that you had as a person, dies and crashes before your eyes? That could have crushed me, but I chose to pivot. You see, I know football, right? And I love the game, right? So maybe I could use these skills as I pursue data science to learn football coaching. So after a few months, a few years of doing coaching randomly here and there, I decided to take my coaching classes. So they call it CAFD, the certification for like the most basic fundamental football coaching. I took those classes. I remember actually the trainer, his name is Coach Kangi, very famous in the Kenya Premier League scene. Coach Kangi said, Majama, now you have enough skills to go there and build teams, impact players, and impact football knowledge. That made me feel maybe I wasn't an Oliech or El Haji Diouf or Baldin Ngwa or Nicholas Anelka or D. But with this coaching thing, I could help mold the next Baldin Ngwa, the next D, the next Oliech. So I went back to my local community and my local team, who then did not have a coach. So when you have a CAFD and people don't have a coach, you become a coach. So I became a coach in the local team, somewhere around Kitengela. And I started coaching. I still remember very clearly the first friendly match we had, Kiss Cringe as we called it. So we went a bit above our weight. So we called these guys in and we're excited. We have a new coach. This is our first friendly. This is gonna work. Then these merciless guys, heartless guys, not knowing I was a coach now, decided to beat my team. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 11-0. You see, that day, when I went back and my wife asked me, how was the game? Yeah, those feelings of no one sees me. I'm a failure. I'm not good enough came back to me. But I didn't quit. I kept going. And at least now I had a backup. Data science was working. So I kept going. And right now we're building a team that sooner or later will be looking to compete in local leagues. I'll tell you when I won my first trophy as a coach. You see, I work for a very decent corporate. And before COVID, they had a proper team that was participating in one of the largest corporate leagues. Then COVID happened, then the team died. So here I am, established employee with some new coaching roles, with a big dream to achieve greatness. What I did, you had to convince finance guys, accountants, hello. I had to convince accountants and HR that they should sponsor this team to come back again. We were able to convince them, and we built a team. Again, going back now to the training ground. Now, this is the interesting point. I'm a coach, but some of the guys that I'm coaching here actually lived my dream. We have staff people who actually played in the Kenya Premier League. How do I convince them? How do I tell them? How do I decide to serve them off? I was able to manage through those. And on 7th of September 2024, we played our first corporate Olympics game. I can't forget how I felt when the team, through the preliminaries, to the quarterfinals, to the semifinals, to the finals. And who is at the coach line? Who is at the touch line? I can't hear you. D is at the touch line. And when the final whistle went, and we won the final 3-1 against the Deloitte team that was like very, very, very competitive. I sat at that touch line. Something had finally given. Someone had finally seen me. I had achieved greatness. Remember what my grandfather said? I had achieved some sort of greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't know the challenges you go through life. I wouldn't know moments that have made you feel not seen, neglected, rejected even. Maybe it's that career change that is not coming through. Maybe it's that promotion that is not coming through. Maybe it's that marriage that could be failing. But against all the odds, I believe that if you find a way to pivot, you find a way to keep on that dream, you find a way to keep going, something will give. Takes me back to that day in my grandmother's kitchen when my grandfather, looked into my eyes and said these words: "This boy will be a great..." Thank you.